Right, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, actually, when we saw maybe one or two Hoodwink games in those series. I mentioned at the time for the Hoodwink, it feels like a hero with so much potential, but rarely do we get much in the way of consistency. This Hoodwink is either genius or it's an absolute sort of failure. We don't really see much in the way of middle ground here, so it feels like EgoBoys are sort of going all in. You mentioned earlier on with this Ursa, he basically has to win that lane, or at least do well enough to keep himself going. Otherwise, EgoBoys are going to be down pretty early. The Hoodwink feels like it's a similar play, so to a certain extent, they're kind of just going all in here. If this doesn't work early, it may not work at all.
And banning out those two heroes, you just ban out this. The Razor pick is a lot less telegraphed, but as soon as you ban out the Veno, you know exactly what they're going for. And while they definitely could have run it, I don't think that's where Undying were going to take this draft in the first place. But it's just sort of the fear. You don't want to get counterpicked. You can't afford to get counterpicked if you're EgoBoys. And maybe that's Tomato's hero now. They're probably going to do the Undying thing we keep on seeing them do, and they just swap around their positions so seamlessly.
Right, Wraith King now almost guaranteed to play that position 1 role, which in this instance I would assume the Gyro is being shifted into that supporting role at this point. Otherwise, what? Gyro mid, Bristle off lane, that doesn't feel great at the moment, but we'll have to see. That sort of trademark flexibility coming into play for them once again. The early picks could have gone in multiple directions, so they just get to react so well to anything EgoBoys are sort of trying to do on their side. And that Wraith King, we saw it once yesterday. It just did stupid amounts of damage. So the Wraith King's still very much a sort of top tier pick in that carry position. We'll see what Undying can do with it this time around, and how EgoBoys try to respond with their final couple bans.
Well, and we saw it picked in a very similar situation, and I was going to mention EgoBoys probably just going to ban out as many Saberlight heroes as they can come up with, as that's what it feels like Undying are missing in their draft. But picking up this Wraith King, we saw Angel yesterday. It was a little slightly different situation, but picked up versus these two squishy supports, Lion Hoodwinked. If that Wraith King blinks on top of you, you've got a problem. You're either going to die, or you're going to eat a 700 damage right click and going to need to be force staffed or saved. It's definitely a hero that does not care about your supports, and in that regard we're going to need to see Alone playing something that can sort of contest, maybe peel the Wraith King off, because in that game where we saw the Wraith King, the mid was a Mars and he just fell too far behind. So at the same time, we need Alone on a hero that's going to be able to accentuate the Lion and the Hoodwink's burst, but can also survive and sort of protect them. So I'm really trying to scramble for a hero. Whether or not we see maybe the mid Timber Saw, we could see that, but they're probably going to wait until Undying pick up what I'm assuming is Saberlight's hero before they make any drastic decisions. But yeah, Pango, Enigma, they're just giving Saberlight nothing this game. I think Mars still in the pool. They could just run that if they really wanted to.
Yes, indeed. The Mars is in there, so if they're still looking for Saberlight to be put on someone maybe with a little bit more in the way of sort of dynamic opportunities, that could work out fairly well for them. And to be honest, I mean, I think it's probably the best bet for them. Drop down the arena, you let the Bristleback just sort of go wild on those heroes trapped inside. The Gyro can even throw the call down in every once in a while. It's not going to be maybe the highest amount of damage, but it will still help. So it feels like, unless they're trying to do something maybe a little bit greedier, the Mars is going to be the most straightforward play for them. But we will see. 5
Maybe
seconds on the
Slardar?
clock. Ooh, the Slardar, that's right. They do run that pretty frequently. Oh. Well, I did say maybe they'd run something a little bit greedier, and the Leshrac does kind of feel that way.
Well, in versus Ursa, it feels very natural. Just getting someone who's going to want to build Yules in your game. Yules is the one item that Ursa just dreads playing versus. Even if you get the Enrage off, it still feels awful. You always get lifted up into the air, usually set up into something else. But now I wonder who's playing what, because again, Undying, they keep us guessing until the end. The only thing I'm sure of is that it's most likely going to be a Moon Meander Nyx and a Tomato Wraith King. Everything else, it could be shuffled around in a bunch of different directions, but the Lesh could be a deny ban for all we care, as it would just be sort of a nice fit for Alone. It gives you sort of that frontlining magic damage hero. It's something that he could play against, and maybe it could have been another counter pick to that Bristle if Brile ended up playing it. So Undying, again, they're leaving very few holes in their draft for Ego to really pick at and open up.
The EgoBoys coming in with their final pick. They'll take the Kunkka for themselves, so that will be Alone's hero in the middle lane. A little bit of lockdown, durability, I'd say some nice damage as well for him, so certainly not a bad pick. Not a hero who's necessarily going to get sort of immediately bullied, so I don't know, that feels like it's probably the best that they could have done in that situation, unless they were willing to get incredibly risky with a more glass cannon-y type of candidate.
Well, and it matches up incredibly well versus the Bristleback. We saw yesterday, it's sort of a 50-50 matchup. It's really who's playing the lane smarter, who's able to sort of contest on the water runes a little bit more. And in that case, I wonder if Moonbander's going to give Saberlight a little bit of a break and sort of try to keep Alone out of region as much as possible. And that's when the Bristle can sort of walk away with the lane. And Alone wants to get active. He will probably be rushing Spirit Vessel first. Once you get that level 6, you want to have an effect on the other lanes, but that's why we see the Kunkka picked, because you can sort of lane versus the Bristle, and you can sort of rotate and maybe kill him with the burst. And it's a good hero to pair up with that Hoodwinked. If Kari gets level 6 in a pretty decent time, then I think maybe they're going to be able to kill this Bristleback, pre-10 minutes. But before that, I think it's Undying's very happy. They've got very sort of drawy lanes, but again, that's not what Undying wants to do. They want to draw their lanes, they want to farm versus you, and then they're going to put the gas on as soon as they have everything they need to do it.
And let's see just how well that game plan plays out. It's worked so far for Undying to the tune of 3 straight victories. Can they make it 4? They're looking pretty solid here, but EgoBoys still have something to say about this one. So we are going to be, there we go, loading ourselves into it. Game number 2 officially underway, and we are already seeing a bit of a smoke play out here from the side of EgoBoys. They are going to push their way forward here. Is this a full-on play for a fight? It looks like it is right now. They're just going all in for it.
And I think Tana's going to place, this big
Nice
ward.
early ward.
Maybe see somebody pathing in sort of an aggressive manner. I don't think they're going to try to kill the mid laner placing the ward, but if Brau does get too far forward, that's definitely the punishment. That's why you place this ward, because you do almost see Brau in the trees here if he does get a little bit too far forward. I think they saw him close these 2 trees, but I'm sure Brau's spidey senses are tingling. He might feel something something isn't right here.
Yeah, there is zero vision on any opposing heroes. Dubu, though, going to be able to spot out Tano, but this may just be the bait. Yep, here it comes. EgoBoys will rotate their way forward. Earth Spike in for the initial stun. Queen Tekka going to get the hoof stomp down. Even Kara coming in with a bushwhack just to make sure Dubu's not going anywhere, as Alone will be the one to find that first blood play. So it may not have been the target that they were initially hoping for, but it's first blood going into their hands, and we're still 10 minutes away from the bounties, so they could pull off an even split on that front as well.
And it feels so good to get it onto Alone. As we see, he's going to have his bracer into bottle just a little bit faster. We'll see if he ends up even going for the bracer. And we saw this yesterday as well. You're able to get this bottle. You're able to get a lot more aggressive up on the enemy mid laner. And if you can get your bottle before the 2-minute water rune spawn, then you feel really happy with yourself. And that's why Brau sort of has the same sort of greedy build going forward. He doesn't have the most expensive items to sort of win this lane. He's just going to use all of his mana, try to get his bottle in 2 waves, and then hope to get it right before the bounty, or rather the water runes spawn up.
So, competing strategies, but overall the same sort of general game plan. We'll see who can get the edge. As you said, Bryle already starting to spam out those quills, and the Kunkka does have to be at least a little bit careful about that damage, but well, he's... Actually, never mind. I was going to say he's sort of giving as good as he's getting, but he actually doesn't have a last hit yet, and those tower shots, oh man. Oh, no, Alone, that's painful. He misses 2 there underneath the tower, so he still does not have a last hit on the board.
Well, this is something, again, we see in a lot of matchups, especially when you're sort of bursty or you're playing into a wave where it's going to be hard to contest. You're just forcing Alone underneath the tower. He knows that if you Tidebringer these creeps, you are going to be forced to maybe miss one, and yeah, this is just Bryle knowing the matchup, forcing into the Kunkka and Alone. He's been missing a lot of CS just because he literally can't get them. If he uses the Tidebringer, it's going to force them out of sort of the range that he would be able to get those last hits.
So, bit of a rough go for Alone so far. Meanwhile, checking in on Rises down bot. How's the Ursa doing here? 6 last hits for him as Kara already starting to run interference, but that Hoodwink does have to be kind of careful as I have missed first blood. Tomato taken down in the top lane. T-Torsing it up right now, but Tomato taken down. Queen Tekka in there with the hoof stomp. Tano, did he actually pick up the assist there? Yes, he did. Okay. Able to get in for a little bit of extra damage, but that one is Honestly, kind of shocking for the Wraith King to go down that early. Tomato just wasn't quite respecting the lockdown and damage on that opposing side.
Well, and it's sort of the greed coming out. You see all of the region sort of dumped onto Dubu as soon as he respawns and comes back. I just don't think he had necessarily enough region to keep above that sort of kill threshold. He sort of ran out of resources. And in that previous game, we saw Tano was able to snipe out that courier, and that's when that lane sort of really started going south for them. But this is the power of the Centaur, especially versus this Wraith King. You don't have a lot of armor. You're going to have to lane up versus the Centaur, and if you get hoof stomp, you really have to be careful. You're going to get bullied a lot if you aren't too careful. And not having that Mortal Strike up because of the reset nerf, it feels a lot harder to lane if you're Wraith King at, that 2 to 3 level mark.
Getting a little bit bullied by Queen Tech as we see him all the way under the tower. Meanwhile, mid. EgoBoys and Undying trading out there. Alone and Brio will take each other down. Trade-off is going to go slightly in favor, actually more than slightly at this point, in favor of Undying. About 40 more gold than their opponent says. Well, technically speaking, I believe Alone got the kill first, but that,
yeah, it sucks a little bit. It sucks a little bit for sure. I think he ended up dying to creeps, or there's some shenanigans going on. So Alone gets the XP, which definitely matters, but...
Meanwhile, down bot, Rises and Kara pushing their way forward. Saberlight in some trouble here. One more hit from Rises will do the trick as Saberlight gets taken down. So, first kill on the board for the Ursa. He might be looking for more. No, Moonmeander's going to shut that down. Able to pop the stick, turns around for the Impale, and the Ursa will be turned back. But at that point, they got the more valuable kill. Saberlight taken out, about 200 gold into the hands of EgoBoys there as they jump out to the largest lead I think we've seen so far, just under 1k in their favor.
And Moonmeander being a very nice support, keeping his wave, something for Saberlight to come back to, trying to give the creep equilibrium in his favor, but it's very difficult, especially if Saberlight falls behind.
Queen Tekka tried to go in there for the hoof stomp. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. Dubu was still able to get that final last hit off, and Queen Tekka will be taken down. Tano does come in afterwards with the Earth Spike onto 2, so, he's going to pad the stats a little bit in terms of that stun timer, but not enough to save his teammate. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Rises doesn't have the Earth Shock available. If he had it, he might have been able to dive in for the last hit onto Saberlight, but not going to be able to make the move. Saberlight falls back, heals up with the salve. So, close call, but we might not be done. Moonmeander turns around for the Impale. Saberlight connecting with the follow-up stun, but this is not quite the opening that they were looking for. Rises may not have a whole lot of mana or HP, but Saberlight and Moonmeander already used all the lockdown they had in the initial push forward.
And that's the power of this lane. And actually, he got greedy.
God. Okay, well, they had used it, but there's this thing called cooldowns. They come up every once in a while. Rises kind of forgets that, and Undying just go in a second time. That felt like a mistake.
And we saw yesterday, it's the stun and a stun. Yeah, he had a salve on Kara as well. He would have been able to just reset the lane. It would have been completely fine, but instead they get a nice pull-off. Now Saberlight's going to get all of these creeps, and they're going to get a full wave more or less denied on Rise's
We do have a rotation, though, coming in from Alone.
So this could...
Oh, nice bushwhack from Kara, locking down Saberlight. Rises doesn't even need the help from the Kunkka, so this rotation, unfortunately, isn't going to be quite as efficient as they might want, but at the end of the day, Rises gets his second kill, and they lock down Saberlight again, so very much a beneficial play for them. Alone, though, still looking to try and make something else happen. He's already rotated down here. He may as well try, but not able to lock down Moonmeander, so instead he'll just TP back mid.
And it is a little bit troublesome because you are level 6, you want to get active on the map, you want to set up, but I really don't think they can kill Brio with an easy rotation from Tano. You really need to wait for the supports to be level 6, and that's going to be a long time away. And maybe we'll see a fight for these runes, but Alone just a little bit faster.
Able to get himself the Invis rune. Meanwhile, up top, Wraith King in trouble again. Tomato's still not level 6, so he's going to have to try and fight his way out of this, but he's not in a great spot. The Hex comes through. Dubu, though, coming to help him out. Tano should be taken down here. The question is, can Queen Tekka finish the job? And as of right now, it looks like the answer is no. He's not going to be able to do it. He can't even catch up to Tomato any longer, as he was getting hit up by that sort of rocket barrage. So, no kill in the top lane for the side of... For the side of EgoBoys, as meanwhile down bot, Brile pushed his way in and takes down Rises.
And it was just a reactionary TP. I think he got a little bit kited. He got baited by the magic stick on Saberlight. He dove a little bit too hard, and Bryle just comes in 1 or 2 quills, a little bit of viscous nasal goo, and that's something that you need to be scared of if your Ryze is in sort of the long term of this game. Once he gets that Ags on Bristle, you have to decide whether or not you're going to enrage, whether or not you're going to pop your BKB, and meanwhile, Bryle has been stacking for himself. He's been so efficient. This has been one of the most efficient bristles I've sort of seen, as Moon Meander hasn't been really stacking for him. It's really just all been himself.
Oh god, he's got a fairy trinket. That's... Well, actually, you know what? The mana cost reduction, it's already pretty low, so that's not going to be massive, but... Yeah, never mind, he's not even going to keep it. Taking the broom handle instead, probably better for him overall, but... And Bryle, as you said, very efficient so far. He's sitting on, what, 61 last hits here in the first 7.5 minutes, so he's been doing just about everything right here, outside of that one trade off in the middle lane, but even in that situation, he was still able to trade for the Kunkka, so even his quote-unquote biggest mistake was still beneficial for the squad as a whole.
Well, and if hopefully he'll be able to get this 8-minute rune. We do see Moon, I think, posturing to have some sort of effect on the outcome of that, but just being able to farm up, not really being touched by this Kunkka, and we see Alone not going for that Spirit Vessel, instead opting to go for, again, a little bit more of a greedy build. Oops, Stampede bottom.
Stampede. Okay, that's going to break things up for now. Saberlight, though, still fighting. He has such little health, but he does have the backup. Both of the supports in there to help him out, as Kara just takes the wrong path to try and get out of there. He was hoping to maybe sort of peel off and take attention away from Ryzes, and on that front he will be successful, but Ryzes may still be in some trouble. Moon Meander continues to track him, but without the Impale they weren't going to be able to make that one happen. Meanwhile, up top, they do manage to burn through that Reincarnation. Can they get him a second time, though? The reinforcements are arriving as Moon Meander TP's in. Good Hex, though, from Tano, going to buy some time. The X coming out as well into the Torrent, into that Hoof Stomp. Moon Meander gets taken down, but now here comes the Lesh, TPing in as well. Saberlight wants to get involved, takes a Tidebringer to the face immediately, but at this point, it looks less like a fight and more just like a fighting retreat, as Saberlight and Tomato will start falling back. Kara, though, doesn't want to let him go. Going in with the Bushwhack, they've locked down the Lesh into the Earthquake as well. And that is going to be another kill for them. Saberlight taken down. Bryle was rotating his way top, but he's not actually going to get there in time. By the time he arrives, the Lesh is already dead, and he just has to back away.
Well, and effectively losing 3 heroes there, it was a perfect chainstone from Moon Meander. You weren't able to get any spells off from that Nyx Assassin. The Spiked Carapace, they just beautifully chained them together. And Dubu, his TP is just coming back up now. He was the only hero on level 6. He's actually a higher level than Saberlight. They just forced the rotation out of that bottom lane a little bit too early. And again, Undying, this is something, if you're the better team, you want to save everyone. You don't want to give sort of these plays away, and you don't want to let EgoBoys get away with too much. But at the same time, you're sort of baiting yourself into these situations. And now, oh, if Tomato stays for this top wave.
He does not have that ult. He's in trouble. X comes through into the ghost ship. Kara setting up the sharpshooter hit as well, and that's going to get him the kill. Kara snipes it out, and Tomato felt like he was safe, but unfortunately his instincts proved incorrect. However, over in the middle lane, Ryzes is in trouble himself. He does still have the Enrage, though. He's not actually going to use it. Holding on to it for now as he'll push his way into the fight. Moon Meander, though, able to stun him up momentarily, but now, yeah, Ryzes will back off. The Stampede even being used to make sure he gets far enough away to survive.
Ooh, Tano.
Okay. Well, I mean, he denied the rune at least, but that is going to cost him his life, as Bryle will bring him down. And Bryle now 3-1 on the Bristle, so he's starting to get a little bit more involved here. Would not be surprised if we see him start progress on that Aghanim Scepter now. He just finished off the Hood. So between that and the Vanguard, he is pretty damn tanky in these fights. Now we'll see if he looks for the damage and the utility. As, Queen Tekka?
And yeah, Queen Tekka.
Moon Meander's going to lock him down. Tomato trying to get the maximum efficiency. They still stack the stuns a little bit, but Queen Tekka's still dropping low. He doesn't have the Stampede, so I don't think he's going to be able to make it out of here. The homing missile will come in on the back end to finish it off, and Dubu gets the credit for the kill. So maybe not the most efficient play with the stuns, but they get the job done.
Well, and that's something that if you're EgoBoys, you need to be careful of going forward. That Stampede wasn't the worst. You did lose Tano as well at the end of the day, but you need to keep sort of a little bit in the tank, because Bryle, if you want to play around the fact that you have this Hoodwink, you have the break, you should have enough damage to kill him. If you keep on using your resources not on the Bristleback, we've seen Bristlebacks 1v9 already in this tournament, and that's something you need to be cautious of if you're EgoBoys. Because we saw right there in the mid lane, Ryzes cannot be existing in the same lane as that bristle, and you always need to sort of run and kite it out and wait for the fight to take longer. And if you keep on getting force sticks, spend your resources in sort of ways that don't matter or that don't get you the objective that you want, then Ego Boys are going to really start to fall behind. And Brow, he's been untouched. He's just been stacking, farming, and we'll see when the Ags gets queued up eventually. But there's really been no sense of him stopping soon.
Well, we do see some more items coming out. The armlet picked up by the Wraith King. On the other side of things, the Centaur was able to get himself that Blink Dagger. It's on its way out to him now, so maybe that is the difference maker for the side of Ego Boys here. They could get a little bit more aggressive as, yeah, Alone trying to act as the bait here. Gets the X into the Ghost Ship. Moonmeander's actually going to walk into that Torrent as well, but he did manage to get the Spike Carapace off. I don't think that's going to matter, though. He is still dropping. Not dead just yet, though, but Alone is in there to finish him off. So Moonmeander is down. Bryle forced to retreat. No mana to work with, but he does have a regen rune bottled up. So if he really wants back into the fight, he could pop that. He is going to activate it now, but I think that's less of a pop it to fight and more of a pop it just in case.
And what a beautiful play. I'm not sure if they had the vision of the Hoodwinked, and it is unfortunate he still ends up tanking that Torrent, but Moonmeander was out in front. He didn't have Carapace, but he ended up tanking that break. He wasn't able to get broken on the Bristleback, so Moonmeander almost unintentionally, I think, saving Bryle there, is without the Bristleback, he is still only a 1500 HP unit. He can definitely die, and that was their big reveal. That was their moment where maybe they get the kill off, but instead, I think Bryle is, while you do lose your Nyx Assassin, he's happy. All of the ults are expended, and you have to worry if you... Oh, bottom.
Sharpshooter comes in off the back of the X-Torrent play. Finger
no.
of Death deployed as well. Queen Tekka blinking forward, gets down the stun into the final right click as Saberlight will be taken down, but now Undying, they want revenge. They're pushing their way forward. They get that homing missile in onto the Kunk Up. Moonmeander continues to push his way forward at this point, but I'm not entirely sure this is going to go the way that they want it to, as Alone is dropping low, but as long as he can toggle this armlet, he should be okay. Or maybe not. Bryle's going to keep on going, but here comes Rises into the fight. I don't think this is going to help, though. Yeah, Bryle still finds his kill. Meanwhile, further to the east, the rest of Ego Boys are able to take Moonmeander down, but now they need to focus their attention in onto this Bristleback. They are trying to lock him down as best as they can, but Rises is starting to drop a little bit low on HP. The call down now going to get thrown out underneath the tower, just trying to sort of break this up a little bit more, but the chase continues. They get down the stun into the Hex, onto Bryle. They will actually not be able to take him down. There it is. Queen Tekka in there with the Blink Stomp will finally be able to take out that Bristle. The problem is, by the time he's in, Rises has already fallen, and now the Tier 1 tower is even going to be dropped as well. So Undying, they do lose heroes, but at the end of the day, the gold looks like it favors the side of Ego Boys, but what they lose is still pretty expensive.
And it's just the fact that you're not able to find that burst. They dumped everything on Saberlight. It's fortunate that Queen Tekka was in range to get the confirm on that kill. But again, you're not getting these kills into objectives. You get chased around in your own jungle. It's unfortunate. Alone would have been completely fine bottom, but instead
Tano.
He got kind of kited.
There is no way out here. He is going to get hit up by that homing missile into that rocket barrage, and yeah,
Saberlight bottom too.
That's a relatively easy one. Meanwhile, bottom lane, yeah, Saberlight going to get caught out in exchange, so if you're Ego Boys, sure, Tano dies, but I think they are very much happy with that trade-off core for support. Teamfight Recap not quite cooperating there, but we can probably take our best guess. That one is going to favor the Ego Boys side that little bit more, as they are trying to remain on the offensive here. Kara and Queen Tekka trying to make their way across the river. They do run into Tomato. I don't really know how much they can do here, though, but they're going to give it a go. Bushwhack comes in. Queen Tekka hits with the Stomp into the double edge. But now, yeah, Bryle's here. Time to leave. They need to get themselves out. They're not going to be able to take this fight with just the two of them. So it's a nice little sort of poke at Tomato, but not really going to be enough to really actually bother him. He's just going to heal up with the lifesteal from that spirit. So, yeah, it was worth a shot. But they back out before it turns into anything too dramatic.
And while he did show up mid before, Tomato has been really uninterrupted in his farming patterns. He's been doing pretty much whatever he can, and we see now Bryle has one of the components, has his first component of the Agnums already built up, and now you have to think that while you are getting Sanj and Yasha, you are getting Sanj on Alone. When do the BKBs come out? Because that's your only solution, and oh, they're making a play on Bryle.
Is getting jumped in on, yeah. Queen Tekka hits him up with the Hoof Stomp into the Sharpshooter as well. It does connect. But the Bristle is going to be taken down, but now Tomato's into the fight. He's looking to turn this one around. Can he actually get any kills here? Queen Tekka's dropping low, but they're not going to be able to finish him off just yet, but here comes Saberlight into the fight. Got to be careful, though. Using up Kara. Going to try to go for the Split Earth on the back of it. Will be able to connect with the stun, but the Torrent comes through as well into the Hoof Stomp. That's going to connect with the two. Finger of Death even coming out there as they will be able to find that kill. But Undying, I mean, they're still pushing their way forward. They're really not deterred by the loss of a couple of their cores. They're trying to get in onto Rises. Can they lock him down, though? No. Ursa able to get himself up onto the high ground. They will regroup as best as they can here, but they're still slowly but surely picking these heroes off. They take down the Nyx Assassin. Dubu now in some trouble as well, and at this point, Undying just feeling like they have overextended. They've spread themselves too thin, and Tomato may not even be getting out of here. The X is going to catch him out. Torrent comes through. If he does go down, he does still have the reincarnation, but he'll be reincarnated with no backup, or maybe not. Bryle going to TP himself into that middle lane, and that will be the cue for EgoBoys to fall back.
And that's why they picked up this Hoodwink. They had it, the picture-perfect kill onto Brown. Nobody was set up from Undying. They, if anything, they were sort of slowly making the rotation towards mid. They have 2 Yule Scepters up on their heroes. Moonmeander and Saberlight both finished them just now. And they were feeling like they could get a little bit aggressive, but EgoBoys, they're making the right call. They're expending what they should to get the kills that they want. And if Undying cannot get onto the backline, they can't start on Tano and Kara, then the fight is always going to go in their favor. Queen Tekka tanked so many spells, he tanked so much damage, and he was living on just a sliver of HP, but if Undying aren't able to confirm these kills, then it just doesn't matter how much damage they're putting out.
Rises. Gonna get himself jumped in on. That's a nice ghost ship coming out defensively. Will it be enough, though? For now, actually, it looks pretty good. Undying are going to lose 2. They're going to lose 3. Bryle, he's going to get hexed up and taken down, and that's... Ooh, that was brutal. They push in thinking they've got a quick kill onto a lone Ursa instead. They jump basically into the entirety of the EgoBoys lineup. They'll lose 3, and now they've lost control of the Roche Pit as well.
And this is the big problem. They needed Tomato there, but Tomato, after that one fight not going sort of in their favor, just says, I'm going to farm. I need to wait for a few more of my item timings. He has his relic now, but up until he gets that Blink Dagger, he can't really give the support that Undying needs in this situation, and it's just beautiful cover. Coming in from Kara, Queen Tekka alone, they're all just saving Rises, and if anything, you could say it's a nice bait, because now Rises, it felt kind of awkward for him to go for this S and Y first, but now we're going to see that Diffusal Blade that we've seen time and time again come out. Then Bryle, you have to be scared, you have to be worried, and his Ags has been so slowed down by these past 2 deaths.
Yeah, that progress, honestly, it was looking good initially. We mentioned a few minutes ago that he had already gotten the point booster, and it was on a pretty fast timing. Now, I mean, it's not exactly slow, but it's not going to come out exactly when they originally anticipated, as Queen Tekka getting himself in trouble up top. Saberlight and Tomato able to lock him down, so the Centaur does get punished. He was on a mega kill streak, actually, so that death is actually quite valuable for Undying. They get 740 gold for a lone kill there, and they might be looking for even more. They're pushing their way forward. They do get eyes on that Nyx Assassin. They're going to try to lock him down here. Oh, God, they're missing with everything. That's a bit unfortunate, and now the fight's going to turn. Ghost ship flies through. Rise is trying to get involved, pushing his way forward. Call down, though, will be deployed by the gyrocopter. That's going to create a little bit of separation now. Rises is very low on backup, so he is going to leap his way across that chasm, getting himself back under the tier 2. And it looks like this fight will just sort of peter out at this point, but that got a little bit dicey, honestly, for both sides. Those missed stuns. Pretty brutal for Undying. But, okay.
It's very lucky, and they actually want more.
Yeah, fight may not be over.
Bryle.
Rises is going to push his way forward. Alone actually hits him up with the bullwhip as well, but they're actually going to try and focus down the gyrocopter first, trying to get Dubu away from that fight, as they will be able to bring him down. Meanwhile, further to the west, yeah, Queen Tekka in some trouble. He'll be taken down. Kara fell as well, and now Alone, you are pretty much alone. There's no one here to help him. Tano and Rises are thinking about going in, but there's not a whole lot they were going to be able to do there, so they will play it safe and back off, but that means that the Kunkka will be taken down, as Undying managed to sort of swing that fight in their favor. Dubu for 3, pretty damn good.
And they got a little bit too aggressive. In fact, it was just a mess up in their positioning. Kara was just channeling his ultimate on the low ground in vision of a creep wave, and he just gets completely taken down. Yeah, Moon got cleaned up. He stayed around a little bit too long.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Sticking around too long there, as Rises will punish him. But even with that, that's still Moon and Dubu falling for 3 kills. So even if we factor the Nyx's death in there, that is still incredibly favorable for Undying. They've swung the net worth lead into their hands. Actually, this is the largest net worth lead we've seen to this point in the game at 2K. So momentum starting to build up for the Undying side.
And that's something Ego needs to be careful of. They can't let Undying break down their lineup. They can't find the supports. If Kara or Tano go down a little bit too early and they're not trading heroes directly with the Undying side, Undying are going to get to a point where there's a little bit too tanky, where they're a little bit too fluid and able to get into these backlines. And now that Brio has this Aghanim Scepter, we're most likely going to need to see the BKBs sort of mirror that timing, and this might be a chance for Undying to really take back a lot of the map that they've sort of given up to this Aegis.
Yeah, only BKB being worked on right now is Alone's. He does have the hammer up, but still a little ways to go before he can actually finish that one off. In the meantime, Undying making their way into the north side jungle. Tano, that's not where you want to be. He's going to get himself caught out. The Yule Scepter will lock him down. The homing missile comes in as well, and he is going to be taken down.
Rises is hunted. He's being tracked.
Can they actually lock him? Oh, look at that. The Impale just on the edge of the cast range. Going to be able to hit up onto that Ursa. Can they actually keep him in place, though? The homing missile is coming through. Nice four-step, actually, pushing Brile further into the fight. And Rises, he has nowhere to go. He's so damn slow. He's just not going to be able to get away. He will lose the Aegis, but Alone coming in, dropping down the X into the Torrent and the Ghost Ship. Rises will be respawning, but he's immediately hit up by the Split Earth. In some trouble here, trying to get himself away, trying to pop the ult as well, but the Enrage isn't even going to help. Rises taken down now Alone, all by himself in the middle of 4. They're going to try and track him down. Those sort of Quill Sprays and Nasal Goo stacks just keep on coming, and they aren't going to be able to finish off Alone as well. Brile finds that kill. And things are getting more and more concerning as we go here for the side of EgoBoys, as Queen Tekka going to get caught out by Tomato here as well. Will create some separation with the Hoof Stomp, and I think that's going to be enough for him to get out of the fight. But the main two cores for EgoBoys get taken down in that engagement.
And that's the big issue now that he has this Aghanim Scepter. You don't want to spend your time running away from this Bristleback. You need to be either killing him or you need to be killing his teammates. If you leave him for last, then the hero doesn't feel quite as scary, but Brile is just frontlining, running at you, being incredibly aggressive, and it's working. He has the Aghanim Scepter. It's a big reason why they picked it up so early.
Okay.
Kara.
Worth a shot, I guess. He throws out the sharpshooter, not going to hit anything, but if he does connect, maybe he could have burned through Tomato's ult. But now Rises going to try to get it done himself. Tomato, though, he just won't go. He's not going down. He toggles the armlet. He's still alive, and now they're going to look to turn this one. Saberlight's pushing in, but the Ghost Ship will come in into the Torrent. They're going to be able to lock him down. No, Yule Scepter will be deployed just in time, and now Brile is the one right into the center of this fight. Tomato reinitiating as well. They're going to take down Tano first. They've got Alone isolated from the rest of his squad. They're going to stun him up, trying to get him back into the base, but no one's there to help him. Alone because completely abandoned. Meanwhile, Brile, look at this man. He is just diving into his opponent's base. He doesn't give a damn about anything, as the Stampede will be used by Queen Tekka. They are going to be able to come in with the Hoof Stomp. That does get that reincarnation out from Tomato. The problem is, that was just a defensive measure. They could not actually take advantage of burning through that first life, and now Undying are pushing their way forward. They've taken the Tier 3 tower already. Melee Rack's under attack.
Kara?
They don't have it just yet. And yeah, Kara, that's not a good spot to be standing in. He's going to try to get himself away with that pathing, and he does make it back out. But at this point, that's not going to stop the push. Undying will continue this surge forward, as they're going to clean up the entirety of the bottom lane of racks. They can't afford to swing anywhere else, though, as they're still Tier 2s both mid and top, but that is quite the blow that they just delivered to their opponents. 10k up now for Undying off the back of that play.
And it's just Alone. He's getting kited out. He had a nice double Ghost Ship that would have landed, but the Yule Scepters come out immediately. They've already itemized to deal with the aggression coming out from EgoBoys, and you can't help but feel like their timing's sort of been lost. They're trying to maybe get a kill going, but Tomato's level 18. He already has his ultimate again.
They're trying. Yeah, can they get through that first life? No, but they do get Saberlight. Nice. Good play from Tano in with the Finger of Death there. Will secure the kill. It does cost him his own life in exchange, but they're able to at least find one. The problem is, I don't know if they can deal with Brile and Tomato. They're just going to keep on pushing their way forward. Rises just has to back up, but he can't go anywhere. He is continuously getting locked down, trying to pop the Enrage, hoping to fight his way through it, but it's just not going to be enough. Rises will go down. Brile finds the kill, and Undying are now free to push their way into another lane. Tier 2 mid looking very much like an easy target for them.
And Brile, it's just the big issue with this Bristleback hero. It's why we see valued so much. Queen Tekka.
Nice play in there to pop the reincarnation. The problem is, how does he get out? Yeah, he's not getting out. That's the answer. Okay. That's not good. Tomato, as you said, has reincarnation at level 3, so I mean, that's back up in 25 seconds. That was not worth the life of the Centaur. And he actually doesn't have buyback. There's no money available for him to get back in. He's 800 gold short, so that was not worth the attempt here, as Undying will take the Tier 2 mid, and they're going to push for even more. The Glyph slowing them down momentarily, but everyone's still here, so once it wears off, they're right back in it.
and knowing that there isn't a finger available to them, he finally has BKB on the lone, so he can just exist for 9 seconds. In 9 seconds, they need to find a target, kill the target, avoid the bristleback, and now that he has the hairball, it's just going to be so obnoxious to get in the middle of these fights without having those 6-7 stacks of Quill already on you. And at the same time, Tomato, there's no real hero to contest with him. Tano cannot drain enough mana for it to be really an effective counter. They're not able to spend their spells on him because the resources are just so high and mighty on the Undying side. And oh no, if they kill Dubu,
they're going in
Moon's
on
right
Dubu.
here.
Should be able to get him. They will lock him down, but Moon in there with the response. He's going to be able to trade out for Kara, and now, well, actually, Kara's going to buy back. They're looking to take this fight. Moonbeander dropping low. Can they actually finish him off? Yes, they can, but they still have other heroes to deal with, mostly the cores here, as Tomato tries to push forward, but alone, using the last few seconds of that BKB, will fall back, or maybe not. Tomato continues to push forward. They get the stun down onto the Ursa, locking him in. The Torrent not going to hit onto anyone defensively. Alone, just trying to sort of keep his teammate alive, but Rises continues to drop here. It looks like for now, he's going to be able to fall back, but he actually wants back into the fight. They're going to be able to take down Saberlight, but Bryle now gets himself involved, pushing his way forward. Tomato blinking in as well, going for the stun into the Ursa, locking him down with the Wraithfire Blast, and the right clicks will come through for the kill. Rises taking down Kara, now on the run. He's going to be able to get himself into the tree line, but they lose the carry. And now their lineup is so broken up here. Queen Tekka just stuck out in no man's land, no way back home. As he is actually going to try to blink himself out of here. He maybe gets away? I think he does, yeah. Tomato's going to give up on the chase, so Queen Tekka is able to fall back. Alone was free and clear of that fight as well, but the loss of the Ursa is going to be almost backbreaking for them in that engagement.
And in that fight, that was the one situation where you're finally able to get onto the, again, Saberlight just getting taken out before he's able to use defensively, before he's able to get any save going for him. And you need to be killing these weaker targets on Undying consistently because you need to find your gold somewhere. I don't think I've seen Rises hit a creep wave in all 5 minutes because of how aggressive Undying have been and how successful they've been. But now, with Roshan respawning, they've got a very difficult decision to make.
Oh boy, Kara just needs to get himself away from this fight. Dangerously low on HP. Bushwhack, though, will be popped defensively. Tano even comes in with your spike, but Queen Tekka is actually the one who's now under attack. He's going to get stunned up here. They're locking him down. That splitter is going to come through again, so Queen Tekka will not be able to get him away. He is dead. Tano falls as well. Queen Tekka, though, does have the money for buyback this time around, so he is back into the fight. Rises, though, getting locked down. He is going to be able to survive as Alone. Now comes in with BKB active, throwing out the Ghost Ship, connecting on a Saberlight. They've taken him down, but they're looking for more. Bryle, though, is still going to be the one sort of leading the charge here, pushing his way forward. He and Tomato get directly in onto the Ursa, able to take Rises down. Now they turn their attention onto the Centaur Warrunner, stunning him up, finishing him off as well, and that's it. The GG will be called. EgoBoys gave it a good shot there in that final fight, but it's just not going to be enough. Does he get jumped in the fountain? Yeah, he does. Oh, man.
You'll see it with every bristle. Every bristle, as soon as you see the GG, go fountain. I'm going to sit in the fountain. It's the most fun thing you can do on that hero. Hero's really not that interesting besides that. But both teams, they had a good start on EgoBoys. Again, they were able to sort of find their openings and find the plays that they needed to make, but they just weren't able to close it out. They weren't able to keep the aggression up, and as soon as you see that Ags getting built, it's going to feel really bad. It's going to feel incredibly bad playing into that Ursa.
So, Undying unable, or excuse me, not unable, EgoBoys unable to get the win there, as Undying will make that a clean 2-0 sweep. We've got some server issues there, so we didn't get to see the post-game screen, so just going to hop right over to this other tab here. So, sorry about that, folks. Don't really get to see the post-match, but we kind of learned enough, I would say, from the match that we actually saw. That was just a straight-up dominant performance from that Undying side.
And it feels like you need to respect, there's so many heroes you need to respect by default. There's the Medusa, there's the Bristleback, and even though they're playing to their strengths, they've got the Hoodwinked. Again, it feels like that hero just isn't consistent enough to find the counters. I've seen it get an Ags, I've seen it get the farm it needs to, and it's a toss-up, because if you get jumped in the backline, you have no defensive tools. Even if you throw out the Bushwhack, it just doesn't matter sometimes. You'll just feed, there's nothing you can do. Maybe you should have had an AA. It's a hard call, but hard fought from EgoBoys.
Hard fought, excuse me, and successful. For Undying, as I'm just getting my teams mixed up all over the place. Undying, though, take the 2-0 sweep. They keep that winning streak going. 4 straight victories for them. And once again, they're done for the day. One matchup at the start of our schedule, and they will be successful. So we are going to be moving on to our next matchup. As you can probably see on your screen right now, it is going to be an all-NA matchup coming up next for Zoomers going up against Simply 2 based, 4 Zoomers making their first appearance of the group stage here. So very excited to see what they can put together against a regional rival, as we are going to be hopping into that series in just a little bit. So stick around and we will have that second best of 2 coming your way in just a couple of minutes.